Boss, it's been 4 wins in 4 for the opening start of the season. It couldn't have gone much better, could it?
I think it could have gone better in terms of analysing performance and the expectations that we're setting for ourselves internally in terms of the way that we go about playing in games. But I think if you're taking just the results into consideration and what you'd have been offered if someone had said you'd won the first 4 games of the season, we certainly would have taken it.
Obviously, we've spoken about squad depth coming into the season. I think Tuesday night was a perfect example of that.
Yeah, and I'm sure there was some raised eyebrows in terms of the numbers or the amount of players that I changed for Tuesday night's game. But I think what that does is, from a personal perspective, it shows everybody the faith that I've got in the players, the faith that I've got in the work that we've done during pre-season in order to send us into games prepared, no matter what changes we make. Of course, there's always a gamble when you go to that level, but like I say, I have full trust in the players here, and hopefully the more performances we put in like that, everybody will.
It's another week where we are Tuesday, Saturday, which has obviously been a theme throughout the last few weeks. In terms of managing that squad load, in terms of fitness and players you have available, how's that selection going?
Well, I think it's not right now. It's not a thing about selection. It's about trying to. I've said the word creative on a number of occasions since we've come back, and saying that this season everybody's going to have to think outside the box and do things a little bit different. And that's certainly something that we've been faced with already, in order to make sure that training doesn't become too repetitive, where you're playing and recovering and playing and recovering. So that's something that we've had to take into consideration. And then it's making sure that we do that appropriately with everybody to give them the recovery time and be prepared for the next game. So hopefully the players, first and foremost, are getting to grips with the fact that they might be in and out of the team at times, but it's with their best benefits at heart, and ultimately to put a team out on the pitch is going to win the next game of football.
Absolutely, and tomorrow we welcome Mansfield Town. Last season, a couple of positive results against them. We've seen them strengthen quite considerably over the summer, and they are rookies' favourites to do quite well this year. What can we expect from Mansfield?
I think certainly a very good team with very good players. Manager's well respected in terms of the job that he was doing at Bristol Rovers before he took the Mansfield role. Always a club that bring in good players. Always strong, hard working, and we expect it to be a real tough test. But at the same time, albeit it was against a different manager and a lot of different personnel last year, we came away from Mansfield with a memorable occasion, memorable victory. So that's something that we'll always remember. But I think on the flip side of that, as much as it wasn't one that probably stuck out as much in people's minds from a performance perspective, we were really happy with the way that we performed when we played Mansfield at home. It took us a bit of time to get going that night, but when we did, I thought there were some real spells of real quality. So certainly things that you take from it, but it's a new season, it's a new approach, it's a whole new experience for everybody. So we know it's going to be a tough test, but like no other at the moment, we'll be going into it confident and trying to impose ourselves.
I spoke to Lawrence Zigaroo earlier, who kind of mentioned the fact about feeling a lot more settled now after joining in January. I think Danny Johnson would be one that also falls in that category, a new Cisse. Is that a big part, I think, this season of the improvement that we've seen in results in terms of having those key players that are feeling a lot more comfortable?
I think massively in terms of, that's why you have transfer windows, I suppose, in terms of making sure that you try to add to your group, and that's always something that's really important, to make sure you keep evolving and you don't sit or stand still. I think the other side of that as well, it's probably really important to acknowledge, is that I think everybody's a hell of a lot more settled now than they were this time last year. So I think Loz coming into the building, I'm sure that conversation that you had with him wasn't a quiet one, I must add, but I think since Loz came into the building, since Danny came in and Cease as well when they did, it's certainly added more quality, more competition for places to our group, and made us a better outfit, which is why we've gone and signed those players in the manner that we have. But like I say, I think as a collective, the whole place is a lot more settled. There's a lot more of a freshness about the environment and what we've come back to, as opposed to what the whole season looked like last year. So I think, yes, massively those new players have made an impact and have certainly helped the competition for places. But at the flip side of that, I think there's a lot that has to be looked upon in terms of the freshness of Lee, Connor and Louis that we brought in, and Josh Wright in last summer. And then, like I say, for those players that were existing players from our squad as well, it's a bit of a different approach for all of us this year.
Absolutely. We've just mentioned Danny Johnson there, and he is now 6 consecutive games with a goal, but obviously we've spoken a lot about Danny Johnson in recent time, but it must be, as a manager when picking your team, also a bit of a headache now to fit all those attacking players you've got into that starting 11.
Well, it's fitting all the attacking players into the starting 11, and then it's trying to find a place for everybody on the bench as well, because as much as we've got those players challenging for those places, we've also got, you know, the likes of Joby, Josh Wright, Craig Clay, James Dayton, Cisse, all competing for places in midfield, and then the same in terms of the back line, in terms of Joe Widdowson going up against Broth, you know, Dan Appy, Josh Coulson, Jamie Turley for those positions, and now the competition for Sargent, Loz in goal, and Jordan Juddy and Sam Ling at fullback. So there's a lot of competition for places. Like I say, I've been praised for that group for a long time. I think going back to Danny Johnson, he's showing an unbelievable run of form. He's showing the qualities that I felt bringing him into the club that he was going to bring to the group and to the club. So we're delighted that that's coming off. And I think also that goes alongside that is when someone's putting the ball in the back of the net, it's very easy to forget about the contribution that others are making. And Lee, Connor, Jordan, Louis now, Ruel, all finding sharpness, fitness and form makes it tough, but it's you'd much rather be in that position than fighting to find a solution to scoring goals.
Absolutely. And Tuesday night, obviously, we see the visit of Tottenham Hotspur in the League Cup, but I imagine as a group very much focused on tomorrow's fixture.
Massively. I sort of put with a bit of a ban on talking about it this morning. I'm happy for people to acknowledge it, and it's a massive thing, you know, for us all to be going up against who we're going up against, but it's irrelevant at the moment. I have no thought about looking at what Tottenham are about and what they're gonna threaten us with until Sunday morning, if I'm being totally honest. Because my priority is winning games of football. We've had a great start to the season. I'm so happy that we've gone and won 4 games already, but it's only one league game. So my priority and our priority has to be to go out and focus on Mansfield, to do everything that we can to go and win the game first and foremost against Mansfield and come out of it with points, because you know, it's exciting, it's something great to look forward to when the time comes around to do it, but at the same time for me, the bread and butter and what's going to make or break our season in terms of the progress that we want to make is going to come from playing against teams like Mansfield.
Just finally, are there any knocks or niggles ahead of tomorrow's game that may...
Not so many knocks and niggles. Obviously we lost Dan Happy against Oldham last week, and he's shown steady improvement, so we're monitoring that one even as late as now, so we'll see how he comes through on that front. Obviously I mentioned after the game that there was a number of people suffering with illnesses that either were in the team or out the team or played through that on Tuesday night, and that's something that's hit us quite hard. Not a COVID issue for any of us to worry about, but something that you know that has hit the group quite hard in terms of that bug that's sort of gone round the camp. So again, off the back of training today, we've had to reassess what we look like for tomorrow and probably put a bit of a time delay on exactly when and what team we pick in terms of seeing people come through and recover from that. But on the whole, you know, no major injury worries, but obviously that little issue that's hanging over us.